I paid to the government, if you add in state tax, local sales, property, fees, Obamacare, probably almost 60% of what I earn. That's a lot. And I still wouldn't mind if Bernie Sanders would stop saying the rich don't pay taxes. And
Bill Maher turned on Bernie Sanders, challenged his claims one by one on live television, and left him struggling to respond.
I know the kids think that stuff that happened before their appearance on the planet didn't really happen, but it did. We've run this experiment many times, and the results are always obvious. Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. Yeah. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's socialism for the 21st century, which turned out to be like socialism in the last century, or any century. A mess.
Maher avoided its slogans and let the evidence speak. He contrasted North and South Korea, then compared Poland's economic rise with Venezuela's collapse, arguing that these examples expose the failures of socialism more clearly than any debate.
If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awakening. Zoran can't make your wishes come true. You're thinking of Zoltar. Democratic socialism is like a dating profile. Things look great until you meet up in the real world. For example, Bernie Sanders, his big thing was always bringing single-payer health care to our country of 340 million. But when liberal, tie-dyed Vermont tried to do it for a population of 626,000, it collapsed like that poor in the Oval Office last week. Bernie, AOC, Mandani are not Democrats. They'll be the first to tell you that. They're democratic socialists, and that's a very different thing, and I don't think people know that yet.
Maher mocked Zoran's promises as unrealistic, arguing that modern socialism offers expensive benefits without explaining who will pay. He then pointed to Vermont, where a single-payer healthcare plan was abandoned after projected taxes became too high. His point was simple. If the system failed in a small liberal state, it would be far harder to implement nationwide.
Well, I think Mandani is running an extraordinary campaign.
Yes.
He has, as I understand it, 80,000 people today knocking on doors for him, and that's how you win elections. Yeah. And that's what I believe. That's what I always believe. You don't go to people who have money and do all these stupid 30-second ads. You mobilize people at the grassroots level. And I think in terms of democratic socialism, what people understand is there is something wrong in America today when one man, Mr. Musk, owns more wealth than the bottom 52% of American households. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When we have more income and wealth inequality than we've ever had, when in the richest country in the world we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major nation, the highest rate of senior poverty of almost any nation. We have a healthcare system which is falling apart. Kids can't afford to go to college, housing crisis, and people are saying, you know what? Here's the radical idea. This is what democratic socialism basically means. Let's have a government that works for all the people, not just the billionaire class.
Bernie openly praised Zoran Mamdani as the future of his movement, reinforcing Maher's argument that these ideas are not merely progressive, they are openly socialist.
Someone has to explain the American economy to me. I know I've said this before, I still don't get it. Last week was tax day, and as usual, because HBO is so generous, and I'm sure so will be the new owners, I paid to the government, if you add in state tax, local, sales, property, fees, Obamacare, probably almost 60% of what I earn. That's a lot. And I still wouldn't mind if Bernie Sanders would stop saying the rich don't pay taxes. And while I'm sure the super rich with their army of accountants and corporate loopholes get away with murder, us regular rich people pay a ton of taxes. And who stands up and gives us a pat on the back? Nobody, that's who. The top 10% pay 72% of all federal income taxes, and the bottom half, 3%. The Democratic Socialists talk about socialism like we don't already have a lot. Social Security, unemployment, Medicare, nutritional assistance, Medicaid, Obamacare, disability, housing subsidies. Again, not against it, just the same question. How can you be soaking the rich and failing the poor so badly?
Maher argued that the wealthy already pay most federal income taxes. His point was simple. If Americans are still struggling, the bigger problem may be government spending, not tax rates.
My question to you, I guess, is the word socialist. I want to get right to this because I want to help your campaign. I want to see you get the nomination. I want to see you do president. We have to teach Americans what this is.
We do.
And I don't know if we're doing that yet.
Okay.
I don't think most Americans realize they're already socialists.
In certain respects. Okay. Let's start off with what it is not what we want to change. We want to deal with the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in America. Very few people think it is acceptable or moral that the top 0.1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That we have seen a proliferate.
But see, Bernie, you always say that, and I think even the Republicans are not for income inequality. They hear that, but it doesn't compute that that's going to be solved by socialism. Socialism is the programs they already like. They like Social Security. That's socialism.
But
they like Medicare. They like the VA. They like the military.
Maher argued that America already has massive government programs. The real problem, he said, is not a lack of socialism, but a lack of honest, effective government.
I don't know if we're still undemonizing this word socialism. This is my big thing tonight, to get you to undemonize this word, because, you know, they do polls on who people would vote for. Like, would people vote for a woman, a Jew, a black? Those are in like the low 90s, like 92, 91% of the people. I know, of course, the other 8%, I think we know who those people are. You won't be getting their vote. Then like 75% of Americans would now vote for a person. That's a big change from 10 years ago.
Yep.
60% would vote for a Muslim. 58% would vote for an atheist. Socialist, 47. It's at the very bottom of the ballot. They hear socialist, they think herpes, Bernie.
Maher argued that socialism remains deeply unpopular with American voters, while capitalism still holds broader support. His point was simple. Democrats cannot win nationally by embracing a label most voters reject.
Okay, but now this has been studied. The amount of tax revenue that we would get just from taxing the people who, I think your fans think you're talking about, the people who own a yacht, does not come close to covering what you want to pay for.
Not true. Not true.
Come on, you're saying by only taxing the top
No,
1%?
what I'm saying is there have been articles out there that have been really unfair and wrong. For example, what they are suggesting, if we move toward a Medicare for all single-payer program, which guarantees health care to all people, it would cost a lot of money. That's true. But what they forget to tell you is it would be much more cost-effective than the dysfunctional system we have right now, which is the most expensive per capita on earth.
But it couldn't even work in your home state of Vermont. They were going to institute it, and the governor said, it's going to cost too much money. We just can't do it. It would be the entire budget.
Maher argued that if single-payer health care failed in progressive Vermont because it was too expensive, implementing it nationwide would be even harder.
Money can't buy happiness, but it sure can buy healthiness. Half the country can buy access to concierge doctors, specialists, new treatments, personal trainers, nutritionists, private chefs, and whatever Gwyneth Paltrow is putting in her. And the other half has the place I was just talking about, remote area medical, the pop-up healthcare clinic that rolls into town once a year like a county fair, except instead of riding the tilt-a-whirl, a volunteer doctor pulls your infected tooth. And the saddest thing in the 60 Minutes piece is that nothing has changed since they covered it in 2008. Same line of cars parked overnight so people make sure to get seen. Same people who work 2 jobs but still can't afford to see a doctor unless a touring nonprofit sets up shop in a parking lot. But here's the truth. You're not going to get health care to these people by threatening to tax and eat the rich. You raise billionaires' taxes, they just leave the state. Or they leave the country. Or in some cases, the planet.
Maher argued that excessively taxing billionaires can drive them away, shrinking the tax base and leaving working families to cover the cost.
During the recent government shutdown, he volunteered to pay all the TSA workers himself, with couch money. That's how super rich our super rich are. They can single-handedly fund entire government programs. Okay, so let's make that a thing. The Adopt a Cause Challenge for billionaires. Yeah. Teachers who buy school supplies with their own money, or people without homes, or disaster victims, whatever it is, make the rich competitive about solving it, because that's all they care about anyway, beating each other. Yeah. Just skip the middleman, the government and the healthcare bureaucracies that for whatever reason, no matter how much they take in, never seem to get enough to the people, and just shame the billionaires into doing it directly because they have all the money.
Maher argued that if one billionaire can personally fund federal workers, the government's failure to provide basic services cannot simply be blamed on a lack of money.
How he's saying it, but the stuff he's saying is infuriating. He says it's the top 1% get the most. They also pay the most taxes, the top 1%. And he always says this thing, billionaires should pay the same rate as everybody else. No, everybody else should pay the same rate as a billionaire. Why does it have to go higher? Theirs should go lower.
Yeah.
Thank you. One man clap.
Gutfeld argued that the top 1% already pay the largest share of federal income taxes. His question was simple. If billionaires should pay a fair rate, why must that rate always be higher? Critics say this exposes the weakness in Bernie Sanders' argument. Maher's broader warning is that Democrats risk losing moderate and working-class voters if the party continues moving toward democratic socialism.